I'd like to call this meeting of the Placer County Parks Commission to order. There are options for public participation. If you're here in person, the public is welcome to attend this meeting in person at this location. Also in phone, they have the ability to participate by phone by calling 877-853-5247 or 888-788-0099. The webinar ID is 963-9028-9413. Zoom may participate at the using the same web ID by going to placer-ca-gov.zoom.us -I and then the Zoom number, which is 963-902-89413 plus. All right. The materials provided to the commission will be available to the public online during the meeting and at the Department of Parks and Open Space office at 3091 County Center Drive in Auburn. Jeremy, would you lead us in the flag salute, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jeremy. If we could have a roll call.
Here.
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 Here. Okay, in front of you, you have tonight's agenda. I'm hoping that you've perused that, but we will need a motion to accept that.
I'll second that.
Thank you. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed? Hearing none, we will proceed. We have the minutes from the last meeting also in front of you. Are there any comments or corrections? If there are no comments or corrections, if I could get a motion.
I'll move that we approve the minutes of September 21st, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor, signify by aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. All right. Excuse me. It's now time for public comment. During this item, the public may address the commission on items not on this agenda. The public comment period is limited to 15 minutes. So please limit comments to 3 minutes per person. If all comments cannot be heard within the 15-minute time limit, the public comment period will be taken up at the end of the regular meeting. The commission is not allowed to take any action on items addressed under this item. Are there any persons in the audience that would like to make a public comment? Is there anybody online? And I can't see that far. Okay, and there is none. So we will, there is one?
Yes.
Okay. And I cannot read what name that is, so.
Thank you very much, Chair Anderson. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
Yes.
Great. Justin Brolio, Public Information Officer for the North Tahoe Public Utilities District. I wanted to take a moment to thank this commission for your support of the project behind me here. I'm going to move my head a little bit. I think Director Fisher has more pictures he may be able to share with you later on. We have been able to complete the new tennis and pickleball facility in the North Tahoe Regional Park. and this commission was a big part of this project. We're very grateful for your support from day one when we stood on the courts and looked at the cracks and looked at the need and the community desire to rebuild these courts and have this as a community entity for the North Shore community, for both our residents and visitors. We opened these courts on October 28th in what has proved to be an extended fall, and they have been full almost every day since. We have pickleballers there every morning. And we've heard reports of people driving from far and wide to just see what we have built for the North Shore community and the residents of Eastern Placer County. And I wanted to share with the commission how grateful we are for your support and the park dedication funds, and invite you up to play. They're going to be closed on Monday while we finish installing the new lights. But we're going to keep them open until it snows. So thank you very much for your support. And we look forward to future projects, and this commission was a big part of that. So thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. Thank you. All right. Are there any other hands that are raised? Seeing none, we will move on. At this point in time, we'll go to the report from the administrator.
Thank you, Commission. So it's not official yet, but my intention is to retire in about a year. That would be 35 years of full-time employment with Placer County, 37 years total. That would give me a 35-year pin to match my dad's 35-year pin for his 35 years with the county as well. So while none of that is official, starting to look toward that direction. My intention is to start stepping back and give other folks opportunities to step up and step in. And so Dan and Lisa and whoever else wants to get some opportunities that way are going to start taking the lead on park commission meetings. Lisa and took the lead in putting the agenda together and is going to be taken over from here for the rest of the meeting. And I'm just going to sit back and enjoy.
And good evening.
Good evening.
So starting with the Parks Administrator report, wanted to start off, we went out, a few of us today from Parks went out to see the Twilight Ride site. It's looking really great. The pavement is in from Bell Road all the way to the parking lot. I don't have any pictures, so sorry. It's just me talking. But it looks great. They've worked really hard. The contractor has done a superb job. They're looking at continuing work through the winter as weather allows, but they'll come back next year and put in the paving for the parking and the rest of the things that they don't finish this year. But so it is looking great. It's on schedule. Still looking at opening sometime in the fall of 2024. Any questions on that before I move on? I've heard you look like you.
Yeah, I have just one, but I wanted the other commissioners to have a chance first. How's the progress of naming the Twilight Ride area? Is it going to stay Twilight Ride, or is it going to be changed to something else?
It'll be changed. We're looking at, we're working with the land trust, and we're looking at some names. There's a couple that we're kind of partial to, but we'll come back with the name, and that'll have to go through the process and up to the board for approval.
All right.
But yeah, we'll be nixing the
Fisher
Twilight,
staging area.
Twilight Ride area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Lisa's clarify for me what has been paved?
All the way from Bell Road up to the parking area, but not the parking area itself. So they did well. They started mid-September, and they really worked hard to get, because it was a lot of grading and a lot of things going on. They had culverts to put in, and so they just did I'm very happy and pleased with the contractor.
Thank you.
Have you heard anything from the community? Good, bad, or indifferent?
Well, we've had some complaints here and there, the neighbors, hey, they're working longer hours today, or they've never worked long hours. They're generally working Monday through Friday, 7 to 3:30. they're allowed to work a lot longer hours. They're allowed to work on Saturdays. We have put together a few bulletins that we've put out to the 500 plus people. Thank you, Tracy. You know, just giving them regular updates on, okay, this week you're expecting, you know, we're expecting heavy truck traffic because we're going to be receiving gravel or whatever it is, you know, so we give them like 2 weeks out. Okay, expect this to be happening.
Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah. Next, Bear River ordinance update. We're going to the board December 5th. As you know, the Bear River campground is now the Bear River fishing access, but we need to go to the board and officially change the name and also change the our ordinance, our county ordinance, so that the camping is removed from the ordinance. So it's actually in your packet if you wanted to take a look at it. There's a copy of the draft item going to the board, as well as the ordinance changes. And most of it is just changing the name from parks to what it is now, ag parks and natural resources, and then taking out any reference to camping. Next is the progress on the park fee.
Lisa, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Since you're talking about Bear River fishing access, has there been any movement or progress with California Fish and Wildlife on the management of that? I mean, we're a year into a 2-year deal that we were going to manage. The county, I guess, was going to manage or co-manage it, and I was just wondering if anything has been, worked on, or we just sort of wait and see.
Yeah, I'm going to have to turn that one over to Andy because I don't know the progress on that, other than, like you said, we have a 2-year MOU with CDFW that's for us to provide operations and maintenance, but I don't know where we're at as far as status of moving forward after that's expired next November.
So short answer is no. The state has not come out with any of their long-term plans. To date, we keep our ear to the wind. We continue to call them periodically and try to get updates. We're here to be alongside them when they do make those decisions. And the MOU that we're under with them right now was executed in February. It will extend, we expect, from February of 24 to February of 25. We do remind them that February of 25 is not very far away, and they should start thinking about that soon. And just one other point I wanted to make about the ordinance that we discussed with the Weimar Applegate Colfax MAC last night, and that's just to emphasize this is not a long-term commitment. This is a housekeeping exercise to bring the ordinance into consistency with the current MOU. When the state decides what they want to do with the property, these changes, the elimination of camping, those kind of things, not necessarily permanent. They're just to be consistent with what is enforced today. Once the long-term plans are in place, we can change the ordinance again to reflect whatever that is.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. We have the park fee update. So Sean has been working on that, our newest planner. We've been keeping him busy, and he's been working on that park fee update. So we're looking for a consultant to develop the study to provide us with a new park fee impact fee. It looks like interviews are going to be, so the RFP is out. It closes December 1st. And then interviews would be the first week of January, with hopefully a notice to proceed in February or March. So, and there's also in your packet a copy of the RFP. Lastly is the Newcastle soccer field, and they're done waiting for the warranty period to finish, and we are looking at a grand opening with Supervisor Holmes, and we wanted to just throw out some options. There's the next meeting would be January 18th. He has from 12 to 1 available, so we could do something like have a grand opening at 12 to 1 and then have an earlier meeting. Just throwing out some ideas, and if you have any, preferences or ideas of, or if that sounds good, we could see if that can work out.
How about some input from the commission?
What park was that one?
The Newcastle, the new soccer field,
Oh, the one at the Eureka School there?
the one you went to last time.
Oh, that's not Eureka.
I'm sorry.
On Taylor Road. Castle.
Oh, that's just the Newcastle, okay.
I will likely be out of town that date, so.
It doesn't matter one way or the other for you.
And that's just,
Jim?
that would be our January meeting?
Yeah, that would be the January 18th. I mean, that's one possibility, and we're open to others. If anybody has any ideas of
Yeah.
something else they'd like.
I'm flexible on the times.
Okay.
Mr. Yeah. And Mr. Cap is looking.
Well.
So you may want to query Ann,
Mhm.
the commissioners that are not here. So
Yeah.
Jim
Okay.
Bergman.
We'll give them a caller, but it sounds like it'll work for the 5 of you.
Well, not
Yes,
the
no?
first one. He'll be out of town.
Oh,
Mr. Tooker will be out of town.
okay.
And Mr. Cap? Will it work for you?
January.
Yeah, so we have 4.
I'll be there.
Okay. So at least we have a quorum.
Okay. Sounds like a winner.
And you say that would be starting at what time?
12 to 1
12 to 1.
is when Supervisor Holmes is available.
Okay.
And then we could have come back here for, I mean, there's lots of options we could do. We could probably easiest and closest just to come back here and have it here.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
Firm it up and let us know.
Yeah.
And then any other items on the administrator's report?
Nope.
Okay. On the park dedication fee and fund analysis report?
So, Mr. Anderson, you had requested a copy of our 5-year.
Yes.
So it is in your packet. It's the one that was done 2 years ago, as they are done every 5 years, but so as you know, we have an annual and then we have the 5 years. So that's the 5-year. Here you're looking at the September on the screen from September. So don't know if anybody has any questions, but if they do, they can, I'm going to call on Andy again since he's here and I can.
I got such a big smile from Lisa when I told her I would do my best to be quiet. So I'm sure. So we printed some excerpts out of a report that goes to the board every year, and it includes multiple fees, traffic fees, things like that, in addition to park fees. But you'll see in here some synopsis of the park fee balances. Now, this is a report 2 years old because it was the last time we did a 5-year fee report. And you'll see at the very back of this report, and this concerned the question that came up, what about fees that approach their 5-year date? The law tells us we need to have those fees appropriated, but not necessarily spent, but appropriated within 5 years of their receipt. And so we wanted the board to be on record as making a statement as to where most of these fees, even if they have not been moved to the project account yet, they're the projects we are aware are ongoing and are going to need park fees. And this was a snapshot from 2 years ago. We'll be doing this report again, I guess in 2 or 3 years. But this was to answer Commissioner Anderson's question about what do we do in terms of a formal statement as fees approach that 5-year mark. So this was the statement that we took to the board and they adopted on just expectation of the destination of those fees. Now that can change over time as new priorities come up, but we do want the public to know that they're not just sitting in an account gathering dust, that there are lots of projects that we know of that are going to be using those fees.
This shows something else that's kind of interesting. It just shows you the growth over the last 5 years in the different areas. And so it's kind of interesting because you have areas like Tahoe City where the growth doesn't seem to be there, at least in the last year. And they have 1 year that's high, but other than that, they're it has reduced dramatically in the last year. And you have some others that are just the opposite. So
we do expect Area 2 Tahoe City to pick up with some fairly large projects in Homewood and the village at Olympic Valley Palisades. And we also expect Area 1, which has been our fastest growth area, to start slowing now that Martis Valley is slowing in its growth.
Okay. And that kind of excuse me, that kind of information would be good too. Just as an ongoing basis, as you know, as you hear about it. Thank you. All right, we have some information items. The first one is on fuels management. And Casey Lyons.
Special guest speaker, Mr. Lyons. Nice to meet you, Commission. You might remember me back in 2021, the Board of Supervisors approved $3 million to be spent on fuels work throughout the county. And we're now a couple years into that. So it's been about a year and a half since I've been able to speak with the commission here. So we wanted to update you on some new things that are going on. First, one of the big things that happened is we worked with the California Tahoe Conservancy and was approved for a grant in the amount of $658,457. So that money is going to be spent treating over 48 parcels that are within the Lake Tahoe Basin, totaling 71 acres. We're hoping to complete that within the next 3 years. And we've already completed 17 acres on 6 separate lots. So in the video I'm going to share with you now, shows me talking about that. And it's on our county website. So let's see if this works.
We are in the Lake Tahoe Basin working on fuel load reduction on county-owned parcels. We have 48 total county properties that we're working on at a total of 71 acres. And it's very important because we are reducing the fire risk to the neighborhoods and people that live around our county-owned parcels. So the fuel load reduction is a shaded fuel break, basically. We're going in and removing smaller trees and brush, the undergrowth, the spacing generally about 14 feet, leaving the larger, more established trees and some of the smaller trees that are spaced properly. We'll chip a lot of the material and leave it on the ground no greater than 4 inches for a good, healthy soil and a healthier forest overall. The parcels are 10 acres plus down to less than an acre. They could be drainage, old roads that never got put in, lots right in the middle of communities, lots bordering the forestry land, even lots right on the lake. The county has been working with the California Tahoe Conservancy, and we just recently were able to obtain a grant through them where we've been able to get funding in excess of $650,000. So that money is going towards the work that's being done on the county properties. We are hoping to complete this work within probably 3 years is our goal. We started this year trying to beat the snowfall this season, and we currently are working on 6 different parcels at just over 17 acres. And we're right on track to finish that this season. And then after snowfall next spring, we will be back out and continuing through and hope to get it done within 3 years. After we do these initial treatments, we come through, we clean up these properties, then we're going to be able to just get in a maintenance mode and be able to come back season after season and, take care of, some standing dead, some brush removal, just kind of maintain the properties as they should be maintained. With the fire insurance aspect of things and just seeing us out there cleaning things up, the public response has been excellent. They're really happy to see us out there doing this type of work.
There's my claim to fame. It's always funny to see yourself on a video like that. Our public information officers do a excellent job editing and putting together these videos, which showcase a lot of the work we're doing. So big appreciation to them. And I also wanted to share a couple of the other projects that we're working on. So I'm currently
working on a bid package for Hidden Falls, 50 acres at Hidden Falls. This is to reestablish the fuel breaks that were put in when the park was opened. So we're using the old Forester maps and the fuel breaks that CAL FIRE had Washington crews and other means out there early on in the park opening time. That was probably 15 years ago-ish or something. So we're expanding on those and reestablishing a lot of down materials and things like that. So that's currently out to bid, and I did a job walk last week, so we're hoping to get those bids in. We should be getting them next week, so it'll be interesting to see what the pricing comes in on that. And that's kind of designed to be a lower elevation project, so hopefully this winter we can keep fuels money rolling and keep projects going. You know, with Hidden Falls is the lower elevation, some of our higher elevation sites. So other projects that you guys may be aware of, maybe not. But we've got a lot of like removal of dead trees, standing dead, Commons Beach. We went in and removed a bunch of trees up there. So we spent about $33,000 in the Lake Tahoe Basin, just removing trees and cleaning up properties around buildings and beaches and things like that. The Los Lagos Parkway turned out really nice. It's a Granite Bay area, 28 acres total. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but there was the parkway that was the state of California was maintaining, and it was probably 2 years ago we got involved in that and went in and started cleaning it up. I've currently got goats grazing it once a year, the trails established, new signs, fence work. So it's really, really a nice property now. The old Dutch Flat Cemetery was a fun project. So that was 2 acres, but pretty complex because it's a historic cemetery. So it was $40,000 worth of work just on those 2 acres. And we went around all the old grave sites, and there's a historic Chinese section of the cemetery that they're working on now. They've got flagged. They did a what do they call the underground radar? Ground penetrating LiDAR or something. They do that, yeah. So they're doing a monument. They got plans for all kinds of big stuff up there. So that's pretty cool. New fencing, all kinds of stuff like that. And then the Dry Creek Corridor, we completed in July 18.5 acres along the Dry Creek Corridor, which basically completed all the property that we had down there. But then we just acquired a bunch more. So there's always more properties coming, but we're catching up and hoping to, within the next year or so, be caught up on, gone through the priority properties. There's probably going to be some stragglers, some smaller stuff, but for the most part, we're trying to complete what the board expected of us. So, and with that, did you have any questions for me in regards to fuels or veg management or anything?
Has anyone raised any concern about putting the chips back out on the ground?
Not so much that, but other things. You know, there's environmental concerns, obviously, with a lot of this work that we're doing, especially in riparian areas, waterways, drainage. So we'll work with the RCD as best we can and other partners to try to flag out areas and protect habitat and things like that. The chips, really, I haven't had any complaints about that because it's pretty beneficial for the soils. And what we're doing also with that is it's a weed control and it keeps the brush down. And so there's a lot of pluses to it. Haven't had any complaints. Is there something in mind that you're?
Well, it's just kind of a paradox because I've got PCWA telling me to put chips on, you know, for water conservation.
Erosion.
And then my homeowner's insurance comes in and says, no, you got to get those chips away from 30 feet away from your house. So it's, you know, cause any flames.
Yeah, no,
control water conservation on one hand and fire.
Yeah, good erosion control, weed control. I mean, there's tons of benefits to it. Now, close proximity to your home, I don't know that. Yeah, but as far as the project we work on, it's all been real positive.
Good.
Has there been any talk or discussion about applying prescribed burns on county properties?
Yeah, so the ag department, Carrie, that works with the forest, yeah. So they're working on a lot of that stuff up in the French Meadows projects and things. And we actually this season had a lot of CAL FIRE work out at Hidden Falls, and we got piles. I actually had the crew today go out, and we got wax paper that we're putting on probably about 30 plus piles that we generated with the CAL FIRE crews.
Right?
Well, we got piles. So
what I mean is you burn the piles. You don't have to pull the plastic off.
So the wax paper is good because you can just ignite the wax paper.
Good idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Yeah, well, CAL FIRE wanted us to do that. So this is all working in conjunction with CAL FIRE. In the past, we've had a little bit of a issue getting permission to burn out there for air pollution and things like that. But so far, working with CAL FIRE, they seem to be real positive and willing to come out and help us. Actually, they're going to do it. They're in charge of the whole thing. So I'm going to work with Dan, and they haven't heard about this yet, but
you're going to work, Dan.
But we're working on hopefully having the prescribed burning on those piles to start with. There's a certain amount of rainfall that has to occur that we actually met with Ryan today the guys met with them out with Lisa, and they just talked about when CAL FIRE actually starts those types of burns. And they're really good about, there's a certain amount of humidity and rainfall that has to occur to make everything really fire safe. Like they're super careful about it. So working with them, and if they can do it and they have permission, and hopefully we can get some of that done. Yeah. Good question. Thanks for bringing that up.
Any other questions? Jeremy? Okay. All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Now we have an update on the West Placer development. Lisa?
Just as an aside, I was out with not only our guys, but the Placer Land Trust out on their properties today. And they were talking that they have done a couple recent, not on the ones for the Hidden Falls area by any means, but on other properties that they have, they're starting to do some prescribed burns, and they very successful so far. We'll see how she goes.
Because there's a Placer Prescribed Burn Association that Cordy Craig, who's with the Resource Conservation District person. And I decided to join because I, kind of wondering, I've got 5 acres, and if you can put it back on the land, and because the chips are good, but they're not what nature had. Nature burned it, produced char, produced the fertilizers and all that stuff that everything grows on. So, but we got to do what we can do with our forests and our open spaces. Burning may not be on that agenda.
All right, well, I'm going to take her in a different direction now. Talk about what's going on in West Placer. A lot of development going on there, as you know, which is going to reflect in our forces needing to grow to keep up with that. I'm going to start in the upper right, Bickford. So they're moving and shaking out there. They've actually pulled the model home building permits. They've got the backbone infrastructure going on for phase 1A. They finished that pretty much, and the planting. So there'll be just about 1,900 homes out there. And so that one's going quickly. They're working on phase 1B as we speak, trying to get that going. Placer 1, which used to be called Placer Ranch. That's a 5,000 unit plus a CSU campus. They're doing the mass grading now, and they've started the backbone, but none of the villages have been approved yet. We're in improvement plans. I've been reviewing quite a number of improvement plans. They are starting right down at the southern edge of this, right in the middle. Next, Regional University over here, that's another almost 4,400 with the private university. They haven't started anything yet. But then we get to Placer Vineyards, 14,000 plus homes. They've done about 4 of the 5 villages within property 1A. We'll be taking on, as soon as they get it ready, there is in property 1A, there's a trail, and that's pretty bright. I'm going to see if I can use the other one because that's almost too bright. Oh, and that doesn't work at all. Oh, well, I guess we get too bright. So there's a trail that goes down, a class 1 trail that we'll be taking in the open space once they're ready. And last but not least is Riola Vineyards, which we toured last time, and you saw all of the buildings and the homes, and people are going in the homes. They still have Sageview and Friswold to go on the western portion of that, but that's 933 homes. So, and then you have little ones, if we can say that, down here, about, I think it's 1,200 units between the two that are coming up and fairly quickly here. So we've got a whole lot of things going on in West Placer. And while each of these have their own community facilities district, you know, their own financing, it is going to take our folks to work with those and manage, you know, do the operations and maintenance to begin with. For example, Placer Vineyards, they have their own park district, but in the interim time, until there's enough rooftops out there for them to vote in their own folks who they want, it's going to be us. So we're going to have a lot of work in front of us, and it's going to be a rocking and rolling next 5 or 10 years. Just to give you kind of an idea, this is what's going to be coming out online for us. So as you can see, we've got almost 300, between these specific plans alone, we'll have about 330 acres of active parks, consisting of 6 large community parks and 33 neighborhood parks. And then you add in that the landscape corridors and open space that we'll be taking over. For example, in Placer Vineyards alone, you have 800 acres, plus we'll have the stormwater quality basins that'll be new for us to take over. So there's going to be a huge added responsibility. We've also got 103 paved trail miles and about 28 dirt miles that are going to be coming on board. So lots and lots of activity.
Lisa, can we go back? Sorry to interrupt, but Placer Vineyards is eventually going to be their own park district.
Yes.
Okay, and so they'll get their own funding and be responsible for the maintenance of those parks.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Are any of the other areas looking at such a plan?
Well, they haven't finished looking at the whole area, who's going to annex into that, whether or not it's going to go all the way up to, you know, sure.
So Placer 1 has requested to be annexed into the district. That leaves a question: do you have a bifurcated, you know, do you go subdivision by subdivision? Do you look at a larger sphere of influence for the entire district? So all of those questions, I think there's an interest on the part of some board members we've talked to really take a look at the nature of this district within the next year and kind of lay out its future with what we know today. I think whatever that district is going to look like, making those decisions sooner than later before there are more and more residents out there, it does make it easier to make those decisions. So we will keep the commission appraised over the next year as we start looking at how that district takes shape.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question.
Okay.
Neighborhood parks. What do they consist of? How large are they? I mean, I know what the big ones with the soccer fields and the baseball fields and all that are, but what's a neighborhood park?
Neighborhood park can be an acre, 4 acres. You know, generally they're the smaller ones that they're not going to have ball fields in them. They're going to have tot lots and maybe a bocce ball court, or, you know, they're just a lot smaller and are concentrated for a neighborhood versus like there are other areas that are going to be like the community park at Riola Vineyards. It's, you know, you've got ball fields, you've got play equipment, you got restrooms, you got the whole enchilada versus the littler ones.
Okay, they're both needed.
Pardon me?
Both of them are needed, the big parks and the little ones.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
because you needed a park where the folks that live there can just walk their kids to the park and have littler things to play with and have a not so concentrated activity area.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions? If not, I'm just going to show a few pictures from the grand opening back last month. That was so here's all the little leaguers and the people playing on the equipment. And then I had to show this one because Andy has always given me a hard time about my white legs, and I had to just bring this up in public. Look at those gams.
I understand why some of those guys are wearing sunglasses.
That picture was taken at night.
And here's Sageview Park, and that is it.
Very good. Very good. All right. Thank you, Lisa.
Welcome.
Are there any other questions from the commission? Going once? All right. There are no action items. Any commissioner comments? And maybe start down here with Mr. Tooker.
I would, since Lisa mentioned the grand opening of the park in Roseville, that was very nicely done and well attended. Appreciated being.
I don't have anything.
Jeremy? Mr. Carr?
Yeah, so I just noticed that, so I was on a selected helping collection for the and so that first week in January I'm gone, so maybe else looks like I'll be gone from the 3rd through the 10th. But I might not get your schedule.
Okay, well, Sean has taken the lead on the that RFQ, so we'll get Sean in touch with you and procurement in the near future, and we'll adjust schedule to make sure everybody's there.
Okay.
Comments? The next park commission meeting will be January 18th. It'll start noon up at Newcastle, and then it will we'll take a recess and then reconvene here in this chamber shortly after.
Tentatively, and more details to follow.
More
We'll firm
details
that
to
up.
follow. All right. And with that, we're adjourned.